Welcome to the latest edition of the DBS webinar series, Insurance Insight, designed to give you the tools and information you need as a financial professional. Sit back as we tackle the hottest topics in life insurance, breaking industry news, and leading sales ideas to help you better understand the products and services that will help you help your clients. Now, here's your host, Kurt Fasen, Executive Vice President of Sales and Marketing.
Hello, welcome to another edition of Insurance Insight. My name is Kurt Fasen, Executive Vice President here at DBS. We're so glad that you took time out of your day to join us for what I think is going to be a very interesting dialogue. Today, we're going to be talking about protecting women with life insurance. You know, women are a significant and very much underserved demographic in life insurance. And many advisors, perhaps some of you joining us today, struggle to connect with them to really address their needs. So I'm excited that today I have Casey Castagna, Regional Vice President for Business Development at Legal & General, joining me. And we're going to explore life insurance for women, what tools are available, and how you really can broach the conversation with your women clients. Casey, thanks so much for joining. I'm excited to chat with you today.
Thank you, Kurt. It is so great to be here with you. And, I just want to jump in. And when we look at the need of life insurance for women and the gap that exists in the current market, there are over 54 million women in the US who need life insurance or need more of it. And this is a hot off the press stat from the 2023 LIMRA Life Happens Barometer insurance study. So one of our goals at LGA is to really make sure that we're helping more women make their mark and protect their legacy.
Wow, did you say 54 million women?
Yeah.
That's a big number. I mean, that's a lot of people that need insurance or they need more. So why don't you take a little bit of time, tell us a bit more about, let's just start with the landscape. Life insurance for women. What do we need to do to close that coverage gap, and maybe start with where we stand today, Casey?
Yeah, so when we look at the landscape today, currently females are one of the consumer segments that are greatly underserved, with 44% needing life insurance compared to just 38% of males. But what I think is really interesting is that we're starting to see a huge shift between power and influence. There is an article on CNBC talking about the Great Wealth Transfer, and it's estimated that by 2030, more than 68 trillion in wealth, women will have a large control of that. So now is the time for financial advisors to really, start developing the relationship with women. We need to make sure that they're talking about how they can help protect and secure their financial future.
That's interesting to me, and I wonder if part of it is that advisors really face barriers. Maybe it's their own mental barriers that they have when they're thinking about working with a woman from a financial planning standpoint. When you think about the 44 to 38 and then percent, and then you think about $68 trillion, and really increasingly more women are breadwinners or co-breadwinners. I mean, they've got a pretty big responsibility to help support their families and their lifestyle. So when you think about advisors and you think about probably some of these barriers, can you talk a little bit more about what you've learned about the barriers that advisors face right now and maybe some ways to overcome them?
Absolutely. So, just to look at two common barriers, I think the first is education. And this is something that we see with both men and women, but, overestimating the cost and really underestimating the value. And this is also outlined in the 23 Insurance Barometer study, but only about 24% of people accurately estimate the cost of life insurance. And most people estimate that it's 3 times more expensive than it actually is. So, that's a big barrier right there that, as an industry, we need to work to overcome that. And that really is going to be through education. And then the second barrier that I believe is unique to women is that they're more likely to focus on themselves or maybe even undervalue themselves, especially if they work part-time or, their primary role is to take care of the household. So these two barriers combined can make it difficult for advisors to really help women see the need.
That's interesting because that means that it's not only the advisors have a bit of a barrier, but the women themselves have a barrier. And so it's two things that we have to kind of work through. And the cost thing, Casey, you and I were talking about this earlier. The cost thing, it just blows my mind. We hear this all the time that potential clients, men and women, they really have no idea how affordable life insurance really is and the impact that it makes whether you do or don't have it. So yeah, that's just fascinating. So let's think about how can advisors, in your opinion, in the research that LGA has done, how can advisors effectively reach women? I mean, are there some key differences, maybe some ways that they could start a conversation?
Yeah, I think it starts, you have to have the conversation, but, studies do show that women are shown to value trust, empathy, and education more than price and product. So I think when you look at, a few different tips that, advisors can keep in mind when working with women is be transparent. So, as you're going through the analysis, make sure that they know as part of that conversation that you would like to discuss their life goals, their protection needs, and make sure that they understand that life insurance conversation is part of that financial plan. And then I also think it's important to help women understand the different uses of insurance for their specific needs. And third, you want to look at really promoting the importance of portability and independently owning your own policy. And then I would just say, lastly, never underestimate the value of a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. That, I think it's so important that women really, first and foremost, and probably a lot of people too, including me, I don't want to be sold. I don't want somebody selling to me. I need them to start talking to me, and I need to understand and trust that person. And it sounds like that's really a sweet spot that advisors need to be thinking about. Don't be selling. Go back and be a consultative financial advisor like you all are and help them to see the value you bring and then the value that this will bring to them. But I want to zero in on that last comment if I can, Casey. Let's go back to your last comment. You said something generally effective, never underestimate or something like that, the value of a stay-at-home mom. Let's talk about those moms that may not earn a salary outside the home, but look, the work they do, invaluable to the financial security of the family. So talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, so when you think about it, and this is according to salary.com, but if stay-at-home partners were to be compensated for their work in and outside of the household, that median annual salary is over $184,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That makes sense, right? I mean, they're driving people places and really they're the CEO, CFO of the whole house many times, right?
Exactly. They're making sure the household runs smoothly. They're getting the kids off to school, all the errands, paying the bills, oftentimes also being a primary caregiver for family members outside of the household. And that's something that we really recognize. And at Legal and General America, we know the value of a stay-at-home partner. So, we look at a dependent spouse, they may be eligible for coverage up to the amount of personal insurance that's in force for the working spouse. So that's something that's really important to us. And I also think,
hats off. Sorry to interrupt, but hats off to LGA for thinking in that framework, because I think there are times when a stay-at-home partner is forgotten, perhaps in the need. And so well done, LGA, for stepping up and making sure that segment of the demographic population in the U.S. is able to get coverage if they desire it.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And I think too, this is a really great way to, spark the conversation for the advisor when they're, speaking with a couple and really uncover what that dependent spouse's coverage needs are.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, so let's change the family dynamics. I'm sure I know many moms that are really single mothers, and they're they're doing everything we just said, plus more and more. So where do single mothers really fall into this whole conversation?
Yeah, I mean, single mothers are a consumer segment with a need gap. And according to the 2023 Barometer study, about 21% of children live with a single mother, but only 2 in 5 single moms have life insurance coverage.
Wow.
So that's representing 5 million single mothers who are reporting a need gap. And that's a huge vulnerability. It
You
truly
know,
is.
Casey, it strikes me. I have the opportunity to go and sit with our legislators every year in Washington, D.C. And when I sit with them, and many of my colleagues do, and many of the people on this call, I'm sure, are there with me. When we're up there, we're telling Congress how important it is, the work we do. And the work we're doing is we're helping to keep everyone financially secure. 5 million people out there, 5 million single mothers are running a household by themselves, spinning 100 plates and everything else, and they don't have any life insurance. Can you imagine the catastrophe that could happen if unfortunate circumstances happen and that mom is gone? So I think it's a challenge to everybody that's watching this with us today. Go help those people. They really need it.
Absolutely. And I know earlier we were talking about how, women value the relationship over price and product. But I think when you particularly look at this segment, we have to understand that many single moms do have competing financial priorities, right? So, within the study, it shared that, for single moms, advisors should really consider discussing different policy types that maybe provide a discount or a perceived discount. And this is just where term life insurance comes to mind, where I think that from a protection, fit, and affordability need, that it could really, help that single mother make sure that she has the coverage that's needed in place.
No doubt. The term life insurance gives folks an opportunity to have a low barrier to entry cost opportunity to provide the type of stability and safety that their family needs. All right, I want to go back just a few minutes ago. We talked about how women are increasingly becoming either the sole breadwinners or many times the co-breadwinners in the household. Mm-hmm. So how does this change how we see life insurance fitting into the planning goals for that individual?
Yeah, so I think we really need to look at it as almost building profiles for the different roles that women have. So we have a really cool marketing piece. It's one of my favorite pieces. It's 5 Women, 5 Ways to Use Life Insurance flyer. And what this flyer does is it outlines 5 women with different life scenarios. So there's an example of a married woman, a stay-at-home mom, a single mother, single with no children, and a divorced sole breadwinner. So those are 5 different unique profiles. And what we have done with this flyer is we wanted to outline different legacy goals that each woman may have, and then also look at what a life insurance game plan could be for each one of those profiles.
I think that's great. I think the flyers are excellent, and I'm impressed with how your team put together some real thoughtful conversation around how can each piece of the segment in this marketplace be impacted in a positive way through thoughtful life insurance planning. So yeah, I love that piece as well.
Yeah.
Now,
and
go ahead.
I was just going to say, in the flyer, and I think this one speaks to me being single, no children, oftentimes maybe I'm not approached about life insurance. So, we made sure that we wanted to outline someone who might be in a similar situation. So, we show a 39-year-old Pilates instructor, not married, no children. So an advisor may think, what is the life insurance protection need here? But this is where the advisor really should try to understand the profile of the woman. While she may not have any children of her own, is she a primary caregiver for a family member? What are her legacy goals? This isn't just about covering final expenses. There may be the need to be able to provide income for ongoing care of a family member. She may want to be prepared in case of a terminal illness. So I think this is really where a game plan can come in. And you can see that, we outline, perhaps they could look at purchasing a 25-year term policy with a $200,000 benefit, and then have a no-cost accelerated benefit rider in case of that terminal illness.
Right.
And yeah, so for this example, they may expect to pay a premium of less than $20 a month. And I just think this can be powerful to just really think about, how are, we as an industry really reaching out and trying to connect with different females and the roles that they play.
So important, so important. Earlier you talked about the fact that sometimes women don't really value or maybe see the importance of life insurance for themselves, right? They're like, it's probably for somebody else. So talk a little bit more about that. I mean, is there something that an advisor can do, or a way that they can kind of play a role in helping women understand truly their need for life insurance?
Yeah, absolutely. So we know that the advisors need to drive the engagement, but where do they start, right? So, and I refer back to the Limerick Life Happens 23 Barometer Insurance Study. There's so many great resources and insight from that study. But yeah, 61% of the total US population uses Facebook for information on financial products. So, yeah, I mean, that's a staggering
That's kind
number.
of amazing, really, Casey. You got to think about that. 61%. Wow. So we got to put a lot of education out there, don't we?
Exactly. Absolutely. And then I think, with women in particular, women are more likely to seek referrals from their friends and family. So, that's super important. And I just think overall, the more that an advisor can do to market themselves and ask existing clients for referrals, the better position that they will be to drive that engagement with the female consumer. It's also just so important to remember that insurance is personal, so it should be personalized. So just, the policy needs, policy types, in particular, if you're, looking at spouses or other family members, it can differ. So it's just definitely something that should be kept in mind.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that phrase, that life insurance is personal, so it should be personalized. Well said. Casey, you've spent a lot of time visiting with me about kind of the market landscape. Let's take a moment and talk specifically about Legal and General American and what you specifically are doing to help women make their mark and really protect their legacy.
Yeah, so about 5 years ago, we began to develop the digital transformation strategy, and it's the Horizon Experience. And we really wanted to reimagine the way that life insurance is bought in the United States. And I think that this is really relevant to our conversation today, because advisors have shared with me previously that, they can sometimes feel uncomfortable talking to women about life insurance. They're concerned about being invasive. And so while we still do offer ways for advisors to be able to walk through an application journey with a client, we are seeing that the primary preference, for the application journey is to be client driven and to be online. So I think that's really key and important. You should never let an awkward conversation get in the way of someone's access to applying for life insurance.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and just what we're seeing with the Horizon Experience, over 75% of applicants today can apply with no labs, no invasive labs, and about 40%, is typically between 36 to 40% of applicants are receiving an instant decision, which is just, when you think of where we were just a few years ago, that number is amazing. So the experience really has greatly improved for both the applicants and the advisors.
That's fantastic. I mean, nearly 40% instant decision making. That's fantastic. It really is.
It is. We're really excited about it.
So you've mentioned, that, there might be some qualities that'll help advisors connect with women. And one key component was that, as we've said, they need to trust their financial advisors. Mm-hmm. So what are some tips that you can give folks about how to build trust or even build rapport or credibility specifically with their female clients?
Yeah, I always say it's important for advisors to help women truly see the value of life insurance and the value in themselves. Going back to what we were saying earlier, oftentimes a barrier is, someone may undervalue themselves.
Mhm.
I think we also talked about, stories, testimonials from other women who have benefited from life insurance. That is super powerful. And then build that rapport. Part of that is celebrating female clients' achievements and milestones, whether they just bought a house, maybe they started a business, received a promotion, are looking at retirement. Staying in touch and making sure that they're understanding what these financial and just life milestones are along the way will really help them be able to have the right game plan in place.
I think that's perfect. And, that combined with things like ongoing education and doing regular reviews once they do establish a regular review with their insurance needs, establishing a cadence with that. I think all of those things, along with what you just said, will provide kind of the catalyst to create hopefully some positive impact for future clients, for our advisors. Casey, I'm going to give you 2 seconds to catch your breath, and I'm just going to mention a couple things. So DBS has made a strong commitment as well to the women's market. In fact, as you can see on our website, we have dedicated a page with all sorts of marketing that we believe will help support you when you are working with women. Our goal really is to partner with carriers like LGA who understand the market and really provide tools for you to use when you are with your clients. Bringing life insurance solutions to women is a win-win solution for advisors and for your clients. It helps the advisors obviously increase your sales and expand your market, but more importantly, it differentiates yourself in the marketplace. And I think the underlying big thing for me is it helps your clients, and in this case, your female clients, secure their financial future. They're protecting their families, they're achieving their goals, they're setting up their legacies. In the end, this is a market you can't overlook. If you have overlooked it up to this point, that's okay. Today's a brand new day. Call us at DBS. We're happy to help you talk through how we can help you get into this market, and we'll connect you with some of our friends like Casey to see how we can help you to be successful. Casey, I just want to thank you so much for joining us today. Any final words for our guests today?
Yeah, I want to say thank you so much, Kurt, for having me and for being a tremendous partner. As you mentioned, in terms of different marketing materials and resources from carriers, we put together a Make Your Mark campaign in a box that provides advisors with an opportunity to really leverage social media, online platforms, and other digital tools to reach and drive that female audience and engagement. So with this campaign in a box, it's going to provide sales flyers, social media graphics, call to action templates. It's really great material. It's evergreen and it's available for advisors to use.
That's great. I've seen it. It's great materials. Thank you again, Casey, for being with us. And thank you to each one of you. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule to join us. We look forward to seeing you next time on Insurance Insights. And until then, be well and take care. Thanks, everybody.